Jonah, 100 million NFTs this week. That's one hell of a milestone, and it's a great reason to celebrate.
Yeah, it really is. It's a pretty crazy number, honestly. Like even just reaching 1 million, that's a pretty cool number. Then reaching 10 million, that's an even bigger number, and 100 million, that's just I don't know. It really shows just how many projects there are, and it's pretty awesome to see. I mean, it's also a testament to the technology, but probably people don't care about that as much as just the fact that there's so many projects building stuff, creating their NFTs, and NFTs being traded. So yeah, I mean, it's a big milestone, that's for sure, and certainly want to celebrate a bit.
For sure. I mean, I think when I joined, where was it? 15, 20 million, something like that. So to see it go up by, I don't know, 80 million in the space of, well, since I joined, it's not even been a year. That's absolutely crazy. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. So what have we been working on this week?
Yeah, so I sort of talked about last time that we would likely already release some bigger design changes last week. We didn't quite finish them, but they're like almost done. So that's what we've been working on mostly, and that's what, fingers crossed, we will see go live this week. So I mean, it would be kind of awkward if we sit here again next week and I tell you the same story, but this time we're pretty confident that we should be able to get a lot of stuff like over the finish line and released.
Cool. On that note, I remember towards the end of the week, I was really pushing. I was getting a few messages, Ari, like copy and things, but hey, yeah, I suppose we can do all our final checks and to make sure it, fingers crossed, will
Yeah,
come out this week. Um, so a couple of questions from the community. We had a couple of API issues last week. Do we want to talk briefly about those?
yeah, sure. I mean, I think there were like two separate ones. One was sort of for like around 1.5 to 2 hours. Like all the APIs on AtomicHub were still working but weren't updating anymore. So essentially, they were showing like a state of the data that was like an hour in the past, for example, and everything that happened before that, you could still see that perfectly fine. But if you, for example, purchased an NFT, it wouldn't show up in your inventory because the API was lagging behind. Reason for that was like some little bug in the atomic market smart contract that essentially caused like an inconsistency in the API, which caused the API to shut down essentially, or at least the part of the API that's reading new data to shut down. Um, Fortunately, we were able to identify that quickly, and fortunately, it wasn't really a big issue. It was just like smaller thing that we could fix quickly, and after that, it was working fine. And actually, from what we've seen, community dealt with it pretty well. So it seems like not too many people were actually affected all that much, which is big relief for us, obviously. Like the worst thing that can happen for us is a longer major outage. That's what we want to avoid. And this was sort of this in between where it still kind of worked, but newer data didn't. But yeah, that was the one thing, but glad to have that fixed and out of the way. And then the other thing was sort of over the weekend. I think our public API had some issues. So basically, that means AtomicHub has their own like dedicated APIs. Those still worked fine. AtomicHub still worked fine. But we do have a public API that a lot of other projects are using, and that was, we don't know for sure, but it seemed like it was under attack from like DDoS attack, and just got a lot more requests than usual, so it slowed down a lot. Unfortunately, there's not too much we can do about it. Obviously, we're trying to combat it, but what this really shows, in my opinion, is just that any big projects should really aim to have their own API setup and not just rely on this one source. I mean, there even are other public APIs that everyone can use. So even just using some fallback there is a good first step. And obviously, the best solution would be to host own APIs. After all, the software, the source code is all open source, so anyone can host it if they want to.
That's a good piece of advice there. And especially with regards to the earlier outage we had this week in terms of drops. Everything worked fine. It just wasn't displaying to the user. So more annoying than sort of a major catastrophe, let's say.
Yeah.
But either way, it's good that they've both been fixed now. So another question we've got is we introduced a change to our buy offers this week so that now every buy offer you send has to have a $5 minimum value, effectively. We've had a few people asking for us to reduce that. Is that something we might consider?
Yes, we are considering that. So, I mean, the background behind that is really like we feel that buy offers are a useful feature. We don't want to remove them, but the truth is, or like the reality is that they were abused by a few people, by a few botters, to sort of create these malicious buy offers in an attempt to confuse users and sort of scam some NFTs from them. And obviously that's not great to see, but we don't want to disable the whole feature just because of that. So what we did is sort of set this minimum amount on AtomicHub, where our thinking is that at least if we have that, any scammer would have to lock up this amount, so it gets a lot harder. Like you can't send out 10,000 offers if you have to lock up $5 of wax for every single one, unless you have $50,000 in wax laying around, which they usually don't. At least that would be quite unusual. We did receive the feedback that this might be a bit too high, that there might be like there are use cases where you might want to offer like $2 for an NFT that are legitimate. And we are hearing that, so we will likely reduce this. I think we're not exactly decided on what amount, like $1, $2, something around there, to find this good compromise where it can still be used for legitimate purposes, but make it harder to be abused. And sort of after that, I think the long-term vision or like mid-term vision would be that we just build more sophisticated detection for these scam offers. We already have some systems in place to prevent them, but I think we can still improve that once we like are able to allocate more resources towards that. Perhaps even find an expert in that field who can help us with that. So there's still lots of room for improvement there, but I think we're finding sort of a balance that works for right now.
Yeah, for sure. And as always, we have to strike that balance between sort of usability and trying to sort of combat the more malicious users of the site, let's say. So as always, any feedback you have in the Discord regarding that is always much appreciated. And of course, over the last couple of days, we had DYGYCON 7, which I think by all counts was a huge success. It was fantastic for myself and other members of the AtomicHub team and other creators and collectors to sort of come together and explore each other's projects, talk to one another. It was a very good event. I have had a few people asking if that may be something we do more of in future. Is that something you'd like to?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first of all, I unfortunately couldn't really attend the DYGYCON myself, which was unfortunate. I was really looking forward to that, but then in the end, it didn't quite work. But I think you and the rest of the team did a great job in running that. And from what I've seen, it has been a big success and has allowed people sort of to connect that previously just didn't have the platform to do so. So that's really awesome to see. I think that's massively valuable for the ecosystem. So yeah, given that, it's definitely something we will look into doing more of in the future. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think many people will be happy to hear that. It was busy all 3 days. It was awesome to get to speak to. I mean, not just Projects Inwax, but also speak to the guys at Brave Browser and speak to Gala and the Splinterlands team, etc. It was a really awesome event, and we're certainly looking forward to doing more in future. Okay, Jonah, I think that wraps up everything for this week. Thank you for joining me once again, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.